This is the Three Skeevers podcast.
All right, episode 41 of the Three Skeevers podcast with Grim from Grimsforge Gaming and myself, Icy with Icyfire Gaming. How you doing, Grim?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. We got another special guest today, the Real Godzilla. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How you guys doing?
Awesome, awesome. So the first topic that we're going to talk about today is I guess it's been a lot of people have been talking about this week the whole fake tanks and healers. Are they ruining ESO Dungeon Group Finder or just the game in general? And for me, I like the polls. I guess Deltia kind of started it, and then I think Is There No One Else did a video as well. And for me, I think it's more about separating that comment with normal and vet dungeons, where in vet you shouldn't be really faking anything at all. Okay, if you're a tank, you better be a true tank doing your job and not getting killed, because as hit harder, and there are some mechanics that just aren't really visible in normal because things are harder to kill in vet content. And normal, I'll be honest, I know, Grim, you've heard me say it a couple times already off air, but it's like the Wild Wild West. Everybody's on their own. You're like you might as well just be self-sufficient, and DPS better self-heal on their own. Healers, who knows if they're actually healers or not, and tanks just at least at a minimum tank the boss, and that's really it. Because for normal mode, you have all the influx of new players that are coming in who don't know how to DPS, who don't know how to heal, and honestly, they might even be fake tanking because they don't know how to actually tank and do their job correctly. Whereas, then you mix that with all the veteran players who just want to get their crystals for the day, and then you can argue that they're being held hostage by the newer players who don't know anything, and vice versa in a way. So, for me, I don't think they're really ruining it if they're queuing for normal, but if they're queuing for vet, then yeah, that really shouldn't be accepted. And if you're in my group when I do queue randomly for vet content, which is very rare, you will be kicked. Let it be known. What do you guys think?
Well, I personally, me and Pink always do dailies together or whatever, just whenever we get a chance and want to get some crystals. But honestly, I will queue fake tank all day long. The only time I won't queue fake tank on veteran content is like doing DLC dungeons. That's the only thing I won't queue as a fake tank. Because I put a taunt on my Magplar, I got payloader on, I got plenty of self heals, I got puncturing sweeps. I do hard modes all the time with like my Magplar. So honestly, that's just my thoughts on it. I queue fake tank all the time because I'm not about to sit in a queue for 10, 15 minutes to just find a tank. There's not many tanks in general anyways. So, I mean, there's no reward for it. I mean, you queue up for a tank on PvE and you go in there and there's like somebody with like 3k DPS and you're just sitting there for an hour. I would rather actually die as a DPS and get the thing done faster than queue up as or get a tank, or me being a tank and have to wait for that. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I 100% same on normals. It is the Wild West. She could be whatever. I've actually I did this for a video clip that I haven't used yet, so but I queued on my Deadpool as the healer, and then somebody in the group was like, "You're not a real healer, are you?" And I said, "I heal with hugs," in my best Deadpool impersonation, and so the dungeon goes on a little bit, and then they're like, "This is actually going smoother without a healer in the group." And I said, "Well, bad guys can't kill you if they're dead." So, that's just my experiences. I don't normally queue for a healer and not be a healer, but I'll queue all day as a tank. And as long as I got a taunt on my bar or I'm just doing extraordinary damage, like it doesn't even matter. Things are dying. But vet mode, there's only been a handful of times. If you know the mechanics and it's a dungeon that you can pull off vet and you don't need to, as long as I put puncture or pierce or, inner rage and, you have enough health to handle some of the big smacks, why not on fake tanking, but not usually.
It could be a platform thing though. Because on PS4 it's a lot of pugs running around, to be fair. I think PC is a little bit more hardcore in that aspect. They've like, if you're not this set role, you're gonna get kicked. In console, it's like you just wing it. That's just the reality of it, I think.
Yeah, I can kind of see that mentality over on the different platform. And I guess to your comment too, with the, I could be if I fake tank, the chances of me getting a DPS that's, parsing less than 10k is pretty common. Honestly, I think you could even put the blame on ZOS themselves because they don't have a good tutorial system on how to teach people how to improve their DPS, right? You leave it to the player to eventually, just by being social, hopefully in the game, and then talking to people who learn how to do, high DPS numbers, possibly join a guild, and then learn from there, and then increase your overall DPS that way. But Graham, I think I'm trying to remember the podcast number, but I think it was like maybe 5 or 10 episodes ago where we brought it up briefly that they should have something with the Fighters Guild where, say, you want to pick, if you want to do like a tank or, do your first queue as a, do your first queue in a dungeon and you select, then you'd be like, oh, okay, you actually need to pass the Fighter Guild's training test. Then you would go over there, talk to some NPC to get it started. And then they would teach you how to pull in mobs, how to taunt the boss, keep aggro while they have like their little DPS NPCs killing the boss while you're maintaining, aggro on that particular mob or whatever it is during the training session. And it would be the same way with a DPS or a healer, right? They have like specific setup just to put the concepts down for you, and it would all be in game, and no one would have to go to a YouTube video to learn these concepts later. That way, you're actually just what's that phrase you always like to use, Grim? High tide raises all ships, right? You
Yeah.
know, you actually increase the player base's overall DPS in a way, or just knowledge of the game if they can solidify these core concepts, right? And especially for tank, honestly, you just have to do or we'll assume the healer's doing their job. You only have two main things: group the mobs and taunt the boss, and that's really it. I don't think it needs to be any more complicated than that.
Yeah.
I just think that that's too much work on Zenimax's part, though. I mean, that's
Right, we're putting
probably
a
what
lot
it
of
is,
pain.
if we're being real.
I mean, but see, the thing is they revamped, no pun intended, the vampire tutorial, right? Like, last year it was one way, and then this time around they've improved upon it where it kind of makes a little bit more sense now. And it's a much smoother, I think, transition once you do the quest line and stuff to like learn the skills and everything. So, they can do it. They certainly have the capability, but I guess if it'd be good for the long term, I certainly think so. It
Yeah,
would
I think it would
certainly.
be. I think it would be good, but I don't see them wanting to revamp anything. Like, I mean, they would obviously revamp PVE more than they would PvP. That they would
Yeah.
like actually teach it. There's actually a siege tutorial in a game that I've never actually done before. So,
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I've never done the siege tutorial before ever. And people's like Pink used to say, like, I just did the siege tutorial a long time ago when I first started the game, and I was like, what is that? Because I only talked to the guy and skipped the thing and got rid of it. I didn't have to do it
Yeah.
because you could skip it. So I've never actually done that before either, and I obviously know how to siege. I think it just takes time and experience, honestly, too.
Where's that quest starter at?
I think it's when you first start the game and you go up to the like your main gate. Your like the warlord guy that's sitting on the table has his hands on it with a map.
Cyrodiil.
That's where the EP one is. It's in Cyrodiil, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's at the commander's table, and you can accept the training, and then they'll have you travel. Like, let's say you're at Northgate, and the siege training area is just a little off of Southgate, so you have to use the transporter, go over there, run off of Main Gate's base down into this valley, and talk to the siege master, siege merchant, siege trainer, and then they'll send you through a full tutorial on how to use each one of the siege. And then you practice shooting them and hitting targets out in the field and stuff. Yeah.
Wow, that actually sounds pretty cool. Because
Yeah.
I know I've seen that guy. Yeah, I've seen that guy in front of the table. I just blow past him every single time. Never even thought to even want to talk to him.
But I think back in the day you had to do that quest or do some assortment to even get the alliance and support skill line. I think that's what it was
Oh.
too.
Yeah. There's a guild, a PvP guild called Invictus, and they do a really good, or they used to do a really good job with their PvP training. And they would use that actually as training on how to use each one of the siege. And it was a required training, like weekly or monthly. Everyone it was mandatory, and you had to go through it and they would have you be on the side that's shooting the siege, and then they'd say, so if you want to know what it's like to be on the receiving end, we don't take damage from these, but we're going to run down into the field and stand here, and you're going to see how much delay or how much time you have to dodge each one of these and the blast radius of each one. And so they did a really good job of putting you in on the giving and receiving end of it. And then they do movement drills too. And I wouldn't say they were necessarily set up as a ball group per se. They were just a bunch of highly skilled PvPers running together. But they would do movement drills so they could stay really tight. And they start out every one of their raid nights or sessions in Cyrodiil doing a movement drills at a keep before they actually go into the field. So it's guilds like that, I think, that kind of make up the difference for where Zoss might be missing on certain things. Those guys do a great job.
Nice. And I guess since we're still talking about PvP for a bit, I did learn about this new add-on called Stunning, which is actually kind of cool, where when you get CC'd, your whole screen kind of blurs just a little bit, but it's enough to tell you that you're kind of like stunned, whatever. And also, it mutes all of your audio while you're stunned. Okay, so it's kind of like when you're running away from an explosion, but you still get hit by the blast anyway, and then you just hear that ringing in the background. That's how it kind of feels. So since I've been using it for about 2 days now, my break free time is near instantaneous because I can feel the borderline concussion happening. So it was pretty good. Shout out to Imp over at the EP consulting firm for showing me that add-on. It was a pretty nice addition, I think, because I don't really use PvP add-ons, but that was one of the first ones I like to use.
That's kind of annoying though, because
Yeah.
like console doesn't have that. So it would be nice to be able to see I'm stunned when I'm getting 2 frames in a keep on console. So
Honestly,
I just
I was thinking the same thing where, occasionally they like to add like a very popular add-on that seems to actually be beneficial to the game and make it actually part of ESO. I think this would be one of them, because I don't see why console shouldn't benefit from this thing too. It seems like a great quality of life improvement, just for PvP or even PvE in general.
I could see it now with their track record that they implement this and people are getting stuck in the dazed. They they get CC'd and you break free and they're still like blurry visioned and can't hear anything, and they're like,
yeah,
what?
no audio.
No audio. Isn't that that's kind of the track record, right? That's what we should expect if that were implemented.
Probably.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I want to try to be a little bit optimistic, but it's hard.
It's hard.
Real, but also real. Yeah.
It's hard whenever they mess something up or add a great feature and then it just doesn't work, or it's actually worse when you have the new feature added in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's jump into this. How long have you been playing ESO?
Well, I guess I've been playing console release. I guess it was back in 2015. I think it was console release. I've been playing since launch, and PvP wise, same time. I got to level 10 in about 2 hours, and then jumped right into PvP, and I've been there ever since.
Yeah, that's it. I've leveled 120 characters, and I have my mains that I PvP on and stuff, but I like leveling characters and doing PvP. The second I hit 10, I'm in Battlegrounds or I'm in Cyrodiil. So I feel that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I actually, when I first started, I was ganking on a Stam Blade, and this was back when like vet rank 1s were out, and I remember like the battle leveling and scaling was so like extreme. Like if you were level 40 something, you were actually stronger than a vet 5 character because you had so much more mitigation, so much more damage. Whenever they would hit you, like they wouldn't even touch your health bar. But if you hit them with an ultimate or whatever, like a V5, they didn't even change anything. They just hit vet rank, and they're so squishy. And I actually got like a 1v2. I sadly deleted it a long time ago, but I wish I still had that clip. It was so funny.
Yeah, yeah. Man, balancing. They've had their hands full along the way. At what point did you decide to start making content for ESO?
I think it was back in 2017. I think it was 2016. I mainly just did just random videos here and there, but I really got serious like this year, like at the beginning of January, and really started to actually give it full effort. And I've been doing pretty good. It's been rough for about 2.5 months. I think I posted a video every single day, worked full time, and it was rough. But I think I learned a lot during that time frame. Got better at editing, got better at figuring out how to speak on the mic, because that's also a big thing I think that many people don't even realize is like when you're trying to talk and you're just talking to yourself while you're recording a video. So it feels really awkward at first, and you're really terrible at it for a long time. But I think as time goes on, you start to put people's ideas and thoughts into your head and like how they would think about this, and you can answer the question in the video without them even having to ask the question. So
Do you script your videos out, or you just kind of do it on the fly with some bullet
I, I,
points?
s- I tried not to script them because sometimes when I first started, I scripted them out 100%, and it took. I was basically reading from the script. I was so bad. If you look at my videos from just a few months ago, I would like legit read the script, and it was so terrible. I kind of went like a hybrid type where I get the ideas out and a few points I want to talk about. Pink really helped me with that, trying to figure out how I wanted to do my videos and stuff. But just have a few ideas on the like a notepad, nothing crazy, and I write it out somewhat like the intro to get my main points. But for the most part, it's 3, 4, 5 points, and that's it. And it's just everything's off the top.
Yeah, I know for me when I do my build videos now, I used to do them how Grim does it, where it's just kind of he's got like 3 or 4 or 5 bullet points, and then it's just one shot all the way through for like 20, 30, 40 minutes. But um, you know, it's very hard to do, and Grim he's got a nice way of speaking, so he can pull it off really well. But it's a struggle. So now for me, I just straight up script everything 100%, and I get what you're saying with the you don't want to sound like you're reading off reading off your page word for word,
Yeah.
but like the video I'm doing now for my mag warden healer, it's I'm still reading it 100%, but I can make it sound like I'm not really reading it, so it'd be as if I'm just talking normal because I write it as if I would speak it normally, so that natural flair is still there.
Yeah, I think the best thing about it is like writing it like more of a hybrid base is like I have to like I don't know if I have ADHD or something, but I have to like walk and on the game while I'm talking if I'm recording the intro or something like that. I don't know if that's what you guys have to do, but if I'm not moving in the game, jumping around, like literally just jumping, pressing X, as I'm walking around recording the intro, I just feel like I do better that way. And while I'm recording, the skills and the gear makes it a lot easier to go hybrid script where you can have like the 3 bullet points, like you got gear, skills, champion points, so you don't forget to do those as you're going down. And obviously jump cuts are a big help as well. If you mess up, you could just scrap it and then keep going. But yeah, that's kind of how I do my videos. I have like a set in stone, gear, skills, champion points, and all that stuff in a row, and I just answer the questions and just keep going. That's it. It's very simple. Once you got to get a rhythm to it. I think that's the biggest thing. You got to get like a framework, and people can recognize that. You do all your build videos that way. I think it makes it a lot more appealing because they know what to expect in the video.
Nice.
See, I have no clue what I'm doing then. I just kind of ramble until I'm done, and then I stop the recording, and I'm like, I come out of my daze, and I'm like, well, let's see what that comes out like. So that's how I approach it.
And the funny part is, Grim, I remember doing that as well. And I would do a 20-minute take. I didn't really like that. Do another 20-minute take. I didn't really like that. I find myself doing about 6 to 8 20-minute takes, or however long the initial video is, to record my video. And I'm like, this is just taking way too much time. If I just spent some time to write everything down, then I would be done in a fraction of that time. But obviously, I don't have that finesse, Grim, like you do.
Wow. Thanks. Okay, so favorite content creators, who were you watching in that moment when you decided, you know what, I want to make content for this? Was it like one of those moments where you were like, I think I can do it better? Or was it one of those moments where you're like, that looks really cool, I want to take a stab at it? Like, explain that moment. What was that like?
Well, at the time, I really wasn't watching any YouTube ESO stuff. I was not even playing ESO at the time. I took a good 7 month break, and was doing a lot of stuff like in real life. Trying to get in construction with my dad, trying to do tile jobs and stuff like that. But mainly, I just decided, I really want to give a go at this. And actually, the people who inspired me the most was Deltia a long time ago. I would actually always watch his videos whenever it was, even before it was released on console. I was watching his videos and Cypher's videos, trying to figure out what I was gonna play, and I narrowed it down to Stanblade and Magplar, and I picked a Stanblade because of Cypher. So those were the two main people that really got me started, and then wanting to even make content in the first place and got me started in the game. But as time went on, I made random videos here and there with Pink, just doing random stuff in PvP, having a blast. And then what the heck? My screen went black. My bad. Sorry. But as time went on, decided to do a little bit more serious content in January this year, and I really wasn't watching anybody at the time. I just decided one day, I really want to give this a go and really want to put my full effort forward.
Yeah, that's with like when COVID hit, that's kind of for me too. I wanted to throw myself into mostly learning how to grow and scale a YouTube channel for what I do outside of this. And so that's about the same time frame too, throwing myself in. Your channel's doing really well. I saw what, 9K subs, and you're gonna hit 10K this year maybe. So
Yeah, I hope to. I hope to hit it, and probably end of September is my goal.
that's awesome. Yep. Well, you're gonna make it.
Yeah, it's been a grind.
Have you had a chance to talk to Delty at all, or any of these other content creators? Have you ever reached out to them?
No, I haven't ever talked to Deltia before. It would be cool just to say hi to him, but no, I've not actually talked to him. I think I actually watched his stream a long, long time ago, and messaged randomly. Didn't even know who I was. So that was like 2016.
He's in our Discord here. You can just message him or whatever. Tell him, hey, Grim told me to hit you up or whatever. So he's really, really good people. He's a really good guy. So yeah. A while back, you posted a video. It says five PvP secrets high level players won't tell you. Are you able to share those 5 tips with us, and then we'll kind of talk about each one of them?
Yeah. So this was actually posted a few days ago. This is the most recent one, but the first one was tab targeting. This is like a very important thing. Like you put the mark, like a highlight around the target, and then next one was medium weaving. Third one was bar swap animation canceling or roll dodge animation canceling, and then the fourth one was movement, like with skills like streak and shadow image, and the last one was light attack weaving your offensive skills, but also your defensive skills.
Yeah, I like the tab target one, especially because a lot of people don't know about that, and say you're fighting a sorcerer or that's a pet sorc, and it helps you tab target the person. You can also see them if they try and line of sight around walls or whatever. Or if I'm in a battleground and somebody I don't teabag people, I'll pay them back. But if somebody just hits me with a random teabag or whatever, they're getting tab targeted, and I'm going to run them down the rest of the battleground. And but tab targeting becomes super, super helpful then. But yeah, I like all those. Any thoughts on that, Icy?
My favorite comment during the video was when you said, so to do it on console, I think you said you hold the R3 button, and I have no idea how to do it on PC, so somebody else can do it. And it kind of made me laugh
Yeah.
because I was like, oh well, obviously he just pressed tab. That's why he called tab target. And I went into the comment section, and somebody else already wrote it, so I was like, oh okay. So I
Yeah,
just,
they're still roasting me on that too, because
oh really?
yes, still, it's so funny.
Oh man. But no, my favorite tip there was the light attack weaving between your offensive and your defensive skills. And oh man, dude, I freaking remember when Grim, and it was in our early days when you were training me in I think what like January 2020, and you were showing me the um, light attack, puncture into like a bash, so it's like a a 3-in-1 type of movement, all in a quarter of a second. You don't even see the animation happening, and I was just like, oh my goodness, man, this is freaking gonna be impossible to figure out. And I would get it like once every like 15 or 20 attempts, and then if I think I got it, I didn't really know what the heck was going on. But I remember going through that whole process, and like looking at me today, a year and a half later, it's practically breathing at this point. I cannot help but not do it with anything that I do in the game.
Yeah,
So, and
yeah.
I know, and I get the frustration with new players. And I was just talking to a guy in Discord over here, and he was saying like, oh, I don't want to learn it. It's like too try hard, whatever, and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, dude, you're missing out on so much more like potential. You're just kind of stunting your growth, not wanting to learn how to light attack. But once you do, you don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah, there's little things too. I earlier today, because I train PvPers here in our Discord, and then I go over to other people's Discords and work with PvPers. But one of the things is like on gap closers. So let's say you've got a two-hand gap closer. A lot of people don't know that you can actually hold block and gap close to a target. And so as long as it's a block, not like streak or fossilize, because you can't block those, you'll still get stunned. But you can actually hold block and gap close to the target with crit charge or whatever, and not get stunned on the way. Or in the distance that you are traveling to the target, you could hit a light attack. And the second you hit the target you make contact with the gap closer, you'll hit them with a light attack immediately. And so we were talking about Stam Sorks and crystal weapon. And I said, so let's say you see two people over here fighting and you decide which one of them you're going to jump on. You can hit your crystal weapon and then gap close to them. And in the process of gap closing, hit your light attack. And what you'll see is your crit charge land, your light attack land, your crystal weapon land, and probably your weapon enchant as well. And they're just like, what? And it's like little things like that. You add this little bit of knowledge on them, and all of a sudden their burst potential goes up higher and their success rate increases, and it's like a whole new world for them. I love that moment when the light bulb goes off and they were like, I could do that? Okay. So
Yeah, I think a lot of that is like also the bar swap canceling too, because that really helps. Because you can go from like a medium weave with the bow with a crystal weapon, and then swap bars and then crit rush, and then you can go right into a dizzy swing, and you're gonna have the enchant proc from the bow, the crystal weapon itself, and then you'll have the crit rush hit, the enchant from the 2H hit, and then you can have like a light attack, and then into a dizzy swing or whatever else you have. So that's just a lot of burst potential that you can use.
yeah.
And honestly, if you just do a parse on a dummy, right, with your light attack weaves and stuff versus not light attack weaving, I mean, even just light attacking alone, you can get like what 10k DPS right there just with light attacks. So if you just imagine like what your current parse is without light attacking, you're missing out on a lot of damage, over the length of the boss's health and stuff. So
Yeah. And you're not necessarily like, we're not worried about the total parse damage output, especially when you're trying to compare a PvP parse versus a PvE parse. Two different animals, completely different. But
For sure.
like what he's saying is, if you eliminate your light attacks, say you're on our PvP build and you eliminate your light attacks, your parse is going to be less than adding your light attacks. And we all know this, but the new players trying to implement that, and you tell them how important it is. So, and especially there's a lot of passives and racial passives and things like that in the game that, empower and whatever, or light attacks proc, like crystal weapon. You need to be landing that in order for crystal weapon to land. So it's interesting.
You also have ultimate gen too. If you don't light attack, you're not getting any ultimate back.
That's a great point. Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. That's huge. Like if you don't have your ultimate in PvP, then you're not going to kill anything. I mean,
yeah,
it's
your
just
burst window
it's
is
a reality.
Yeah, your burst window, your peak burst window could be so far spread out because you're not adding those light attacks into your rotation. That's a great point.
And not only that, just like light attacking as you're putting your buffs up. Like if you're playing with the resto on your back bar and you're hitting your armor buffs, If you hit like light attack regen and then light attack volatile armor, that's 15 2k 2000 damage that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So you can chip it away with your health bar ever so slightly with weaving your light attacks with just your defensive buffs. Obviously, you're not going to kill them, but they're going to have to heal, and if they don't heal, then they can it makes it easier whenever you swap to your front bar.
Yeah. A
I
couple days.
guess.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, the way you just phrased it, I feel like you could almost equate to like, shooting three, like missing a free throw, right? Because like, say, at the end of the game, you were like, say 0 and 10, right? Because 0 and 10 light attacks that you never used. Well, you just have, and now you hit your free throws, right? You're 10 for 10. You hit your light attacks 10 for 10. Now that's, we'll say it's 1,000. That's 10,000 more damage that you missed out on, that you could have landed on the enemy, and say you would have beat the dungeon a lot quicker, or the PvP player that you're playing against would have had to react differently now with 10,000 more damage being inflicted on him. So there's something to think
There's
about.
there's a lot of depth to it, because if you have like a weapon damage enchant on your back bar with your bow or a resto, and you then swap to your front bar, you're going to get that 500 weapon damage on your front bar now, and now your skills are going to hit harder. And so if you didn't do that light attack weave on your back bar, you've not gotten the extra 500 weapon damage, then therefore your skills aren't going to hit as hard. So it's a lot of depth to it that I think it goes underwritten at how important light attack weaving is.
Yeah,
All these things are what make PvP and ESO beautiful, though, right? Like the ability to do this stuff. So,
and it doesn't even slow you down either. Like if you're light attack weaving, it's actually better to do that, because you can get more skills off, but also there's no slowdown. There's no global cooldown on light attacks compared to skills. So you can light attack skill, and there's no extra time that's lost.
yeah.
absolutely. And I know for me personally, when I PvP, I actually like to have my buffs on my 5th slot on both bars. So like on my Warden, I'll typically do Bull Netch, bar swap, animation cancel with bar swap into Ice Fortress, and then bar swap again. And then that's how I would do my animation cancels. So food for thought, and there's other ways to obviously do it between light attacks and bar swaps. So
Yeah. A week ago or so, you did a video. It was ESO, a message to Zenimax, and so I heard that there was like some forums drama or something happened with the forums. Could you explain that situation? And then maybe we'll talk about this video. It was a really, really well done video.
Yeah, so I did a video because oftentimes, PvPers, we really don't formulate our points too well. We're just always, in Discord, or we're talking in game to people like our friends, and we're just like, this game's terrible. They could do so much better with this. The lag is unfixable, and you just can't do anything with it. But I think, so I did a forum post to formulate my points and play with Zenimax's rules, because I don't want to be considered a toxic PvPer. I actually want to present my points, and hopefully we can get something fixed. If not, we could at least understand why. An answer would go a long ways. But made a forum post, and the moderator on there deleted some spam messages from somebody saying that they were going to boost the forum. So I was like, okay, I kind of understand. So I thanked him for removing the post, because I want to do it the right way. And so he removed that post, but didn't even comment on the post itself. Just like the thread that I made had any disregard for that. He did not comment on it. And then I was kind of upset, obviously. So then a few days later, I didn't release this, but I got a message from some person from the moderator saying, this is a warning. You don't question the moderator's actions. Whenever I never did. So that's the drama, I guess. Tried to push the forums up a little bit just to get some thoughts on it. I was actually going to do a pitchfork thing with my Discord server. We're going to go on there and type the same message, but I don't want to be considered spamming, so I kind of maybe put that on the back burner for now, but was considering ongoing. Like Sawman had mentioned on one of his videos he did about going on a Twitch stream from Zenimax and saying deathmatch queue or something, trying to get a bunch of voices together so we can maybe get something done. That's kind of the whole drama situation.
Apes together strong. That's what he's been saying. Apes together strong. So we at least need one message, and let's see if we can at least push through deathmatch BG queues.
Because deathmatch queue, man, like this was in the game. So why can it not be re-added back in? They've already had the coding for it. It shouldn't take too long. It's already been in the game before. So
Right.
I just don't see why that couldn't be added.
I think it's I want to say because I only started playing in September 2019, so my historical knowledge is limited. So I think when I was here, the queues available were, I think, Chaos Ball, Capture the Flag, and Deathmatch. So we had 3 queues, and now they just have the 2 queues. 2 queues, everything's combined into one, but you can either queue solo or queue as a group. So I guess if they do a deathmatch queue, are they going to keep the existing 2 queues the same, and then adding 2 more queues for a solo deathmatch queue versus a group-based deathmatch queue, which you could still queue for a solo, which now has 4 queues, splitting up the PvP player base even more, and therefore extending more queue times. Because I'm pretty sure that's why they only limited it to 2 now, so that people don't have to wait as long.
Yeah.
I could agree with some of that sentiment, but I think the biggest thing is 95% of PvPers who go into deathmatch or go into BGs just want deathmatch. At the end of the day, we don't want to do. At least I don't personally. I like domination. That one's fine. Crazy King is the longest game, but it's so annoying. Like I have to run around and go grab this flag, and then it disappears. It's a fun deathmatch, like kind of semi-deathmatch queue because you can make the game last forever. And if you got some scrubs in there, you can get 60, 70 kills easy. But deathmatch is just overall a lot more fun, and I think that most people, when they queue into PvP BGs, they actually want to do PvP rather than grab flags and relics, and they don't want to fight tanks or people that are just running around with coward's gear and Ring of the Wild Hunt, just grabbing flags. That's just my thoughts, though.
Yeah. You don't have to comment on this, but I have to say this, that the whole forum situation, isn't that kind of the definition of cancel culture? I think that is, and when I heard about that, it really made me mad. So, I don't know
Yeah,
exactly how I feel about that, and but if
it wasn't. It wasn't exactly cancel culture in a way because they didn't remove my post or any post. Well, actually, they did actually. So they removed it after I commented on it, and then they sent me a DM and removed that post altogether without them even commenting on the post itself. So I guess like that's a little bit of knowledge that maybe you guys didn't have, but they actually did remove my post. Not the whole thread, but just that section where I ask if we can get a moderator or a person as us to comment on this. I think that would do a lot of good. I have the the screenshot, and that post was removed. So
yeah, so
um,
I don't know that you could have done a better job packaging it. One of the common complaints is, PvPers are toxic or PvPers are stupid or whatever. Their complaint is that PvP, all they do is whine and complain, and that's why everything in our game gets nerfed or changed, and it's because of PvP. And I thought you did a beautiful job with that video posing options, or here's some things that you could do to help better the PvP current situation. And you did a great job. It wasn't a negative video at all. It was it was offering, tips or offering solutions. And I don't know, this is my concern on this. You actually went to that extent to make the video and offer options, and it was affected by this cancel culture. you know like you actually put together a great video and gave them this, like, hey, here's some options, and if we can't fix it, okay, we can't fix lag, but what if we get new content, or what if we do this, or what if we do that? And you just did a great job, and it was still canceled. It was still brushed under the rug, like you had said. That's the biggest concerning part for this whole thing to me, and actually really makes me upset. And like, I don't know that I personally want to give a company any more money that does that. They have a customer service obligation to their paying customers, and they're not currently meeting those standards. So
yeah, I
So
definitely agree with that for sure.
And I guess just for clarification, so when they, I guess, sent you that message, like to give you a warning that they were removing something, like, did they say don't question the moderator's decision, or was
Yeah,
that
let me
just your
pull it up real
comment?
quick. Yeah,
Okay.
no, it was. I'll read you the. I can send it to you after the podcast is over.
Okay.
Um, but let's see here. I got to find the DMs. But
Because
basically, what happened is this person. It was a moderator like replying to me in a DM. He DM'd me. His name was Felipe. But let's see here.
They just need to be very careful, I think, because there's a lot of very unhappy customers, and they're not. Somebody could start a class action lawsuit or something to that effect. They just need to be very careful, like what they're doing. And I know there could be they need to look no farther than WoW right now. There's a major exodus, and everybody's exiting WoW, and New
Yeah, I
World's right
got.
around the corner. So they just need to be very careful right now. And I don't think that sweeping this under the rug or what they did was the right solution at all. That's terrible customer
Yeah,
service.
I got the message right here. It says it is against our community rules to discuss disciplinary actions on the message board. If you ever have questions or concerns about disciplinary actions or decisions we have made on ESO forums, or wish to appeal a forum warning or infraction you've received, we ask that you please contact help.elderscrollsonline.com. To do so, please specify that you're contacting about a forum-related inquiry or appeal. We are happy to discuss and review specific moderation related actions with you, but we do not allow discussion of any moderation actions or decisions on our forums. You can also always refer to our community rules to understand what is expected of members in our community. This is not an official warning, just an educational message. Warm regards, and then the Elder Scrolls Online team. So basically, I never even questioned the guy's actions. I was like, thank you for doing this, because I don't want like my community post to be bumped or pushed up to the top simply because somebody wants to go against community rules. I actually think the guy. Well, I said, well, I thank you for removing this comment. I would also think it would do some good for a Zenimax employee to comment on this rather than just moderating my thread and not doing anything about it. That was the whole disgust I had for it.
yeah, because I was just a little bit worried. I'm like, you had nothing, because I guess I was thinking you were getting like an actual warning or something for something that you weren't even really responsible for, and to me that just seems a little bit absurd.
Well,
They
I
got
did
you
get
on
I did
reality.
get a warning though. I did get a
Oh,
warning, but
but I mean,
not.
but you weren't the one spamming those messages to,
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't me.
yeah,
No.
yeah, that's the crazy part. So
Yeah, so they get you on a technicality. They're like, well, how can we get this message off the board? Oh, he just responded, thanking us for our actions and
you
message.
know what? You know what, Grammy? He's actually inciting violence, so that makes sense. I get it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it now. Yeah, I can see where his ass is coming from. Yeah. Obviously, that's a joke.
Yeah, it was the main page for a few days. I don't know what it's at now though. It was like had like 6,000 something like that. I think it
Oh,
was. I'm not
jeez.
exactly sure.
Yeah.
But again, no comments or anything. I mean, there. And then what happened is just after I posted it, it just got into a frenzy of people that the keyboard warriors on the forums. They're like, oh well, Elder Scrolls Online was never a PvP game. It was never meant to be a PvP game. It's like, dude, on the back of the box, it's literally talking about PvP. Like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah.
So,
From day one, it was sold as some of the most big immersive PvP battles in open world combat that anyone's ever experienced. Yeah. Because it works. you know, that's what it was pitched as. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well,
I mean, I will say when I joined ESO, I was strictly here just for PvE. But, I grew to, get into PvP and learn to love it. So, yeah.
yeah. I liked a lot of your points on there. Icy and I'd been talking about these points. And then Is There No One Else, when we had him on the show, he just recently commented again in one of his videos about Cyrodiil. And I was talking about there was a time for us on PC where Imperial City was operating perfect. Like there was no lag. And then it was just amazing during Mid-Year Mayhem, right? Like some of the biggest, craziest fights. It was literally World War III in ARBS. You know, you'd go up there and every major guild, every major PvP group, ball group, everyone was up there in that one district trying to kill each other. And it was amazing. And then we've had a regression in, you know, like lag has been a problem, abilities not working, and balance and procs and a lot of different things have come across since then. But is there no one else? And before all of that, I had said I kind of think that the Imperial City functions better in high stress because it's broke up into smaller groups. And unless it's that moment where every single person is in ARBS right now, or you know, or in arena fighting, they're spread out amongst all the other districts, and so the workload's kind of spread out a little bit. But here you have Cyrodiil, who's an open world, and just one big gigantic map with multiple keeps and multiple, you know, NPCs, and then wildlife, and you know, just everything going on in Cyrodiil. And it spans such a huge area. I was like, you would think how long has this war been going on in Cyrodiil? Quite a while. Why can't we actually make the Cyrodiil map actually represent war-torn, you know, Cyrodiil, and then kind of make choke points where you can load into, like, we're in the north region now, or we're in the, you know, southeast or southwest regions. Maybe break it into, it's already, you know, the EP's top right, you know, DC top left, and AD south. Maybe make regions that you load in through these choke points or whatever, and then we can kind of control a little bit. So if EP is getting pushed in the top right or whatever, there's faction stacking or whatever, maybe there is still combat going down in the south, and would that change the feel? But so he brought that up just recently and said, you know what, maybe that is the answer to solve lag. But I get so much blowback or pushback from that. People are like, don't touch our Cyrodiil. I'm like, really? Like, you can't even use abilities there, and it's terrible lag. Like, why would you defend that? I don't get it. What's your thoughts on all that with lag, and how do we fix this? And
Well, I think the main thing, I think there's just two different breeds of people in the game right now. There's two different types of players. There's the one player that enjoys playing in large groups. Now, I don't mind, you know, however you guys want to play the game. I personally prefer to play a small group, solo, and I feel like I am actually improve overall skill level better playing that way. I don't really enjoy playing in a large group. I just feel like it's just not my preferred way to play. But people enjoy playing in large groups, and the only way that can happen is to have a big map, because people can group up in a group of 12. They have a guild that they can be in, and they can, you know, being, I guess, guild chat. I think that's one obstacle that we have in our way for that scenario to happen. But like you were saying with making the map like three different areas. So you're talking about like making EP a zone, and then making like the DC home keeps a zone, and then making the AD keeps like right down there a zone, like kind of like Imperial City is, right? Is that what your thoughts are?
yeah, if that is in fact something that will kind of separate the workload, you know, and now all of a sudden, you know, say the EP side region, we'll call it, you know, or whatever, that region actually has fighting going on up there. You could still be down in the south or over to DC side and operating at 100%, like zero lag whatsoever, you know, so you could have your fights over there and it'd be fine.
I think there's two problems with that. I could see is it's going to cut off, like how I play PvP is I will go from my home keeps, I'll go all the way around Imperial City and go on the blue side and yellow side. Mm-hmm. So there would be really no way for that to happen if, I mean, I guess I'd have to go through a door or go through a loading screen to go away from there, but there's no way to guarantee I'm actually going to get combat there. That's what's one big thing. And also it's going to, I guess, remove the usefulness of towns and the ability to go from no loading screens from just running from one side of the map to the other. Like people want to get their sky shards and all that stuff. I think what should happen, per se, an option nonetheless, is I don't know if you guys ever played Star Wars Battlefront 2, like on PS2. don't know if you guys ever played that or not, but basically there was this game mode that was like Conquest, and there would be like different like planets where you could go from like one map and you would fight there, do deathmatch or whatever on Battlefront, like kind of like team deathmatch on like Call of Duty. Anyways, so you would do that, and then you go to a different town or a different planet altogether. I think what they could do is, if EP wins the campaign, I think that they should be able to move like the environment downward. So like make it look more EP centric, like different like looking buildings or something of that nature, to make it actually impact the game rather than just keeping the same map over and over again. And if EP wins like 2 or 3 campaigns in a row, if they get the more Elder Scrolls points, and that would actually be more of an incentive for large groups, is you can actually make the map look like EP or even DC, like bring in the architecture. Maybe if one faction wins and then the other faction wins the next time, maybe that building is blown up. Now there's like it's ripped apart, and maybe if that faction wins, like the blue team, then they can like rebuild that structure but make it look like DC type of architecture. I think that could be a cool option. And I would also like to see customization to castles, because the castles have been the same for 6 years. I think that they should maybe make them a little bit more architecturally different from each campaign, each alliance. I think that would be a cool thing that they could do.
Yeah. Yeah. On the traveling, I was like already thinking, if you're at the main gate and you're gonna port, let's say you run DC and we've got EP pushed all the way to their gates, you wouldn't ride all the way over there anyways and go through 2 loading zones or 1 to get over there. I guess there'd only be 1 if you're riding from DC to EP, but you're going to use the port. There's a load screen anyways, right? You're using the transport from, the transitus from
Yeah.
main gate through, and you'll experience 1 load screen anyways. So there's that, but I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Is there no one else is thinking hard on it? Dan from Unified Gaming, Captain Crunch, he's in the audience right now. Sawman just did a video that was pretty funny. But we have, like, every content creator's trying to figure out, how do we like the game. We wish it worked better, and
There was, can I sneak in here real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw one thing on the forum post. This guy had was talking in my forum thread on the ESO forums, and he was proposing, like, I don't know if you guys you obviously don't have a map like right in front of you, but right below Cyrodiil there's like a 3 area sort of place that is like, they could make a smaller Cyrodiil out of it, and it was like, it has some aspects of AD and EP. Like DC is a little bit a long ways away, but there's regardless a 3 area where they could have a fight there. That's right below Cyrodiil on the bottom right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a spot that they could have a mini area that is like an improved Imperial City, but a newer area or a newer map. I think that would be cool. Also, another thing that they could do is like the conquest idea is, if you win the campaign as a blue or a red or whatever, I think that you should be able to go past their mill gate, like actually go into, Craglorn, or go into, wherever the EP stuff is on that side, or even the AD down south. I think that if they could broaden it out, maybe have it like the main stuff in there, but if you're pushing them, I think that they should get pushed back into their own alliance. They shouldn't just stop at the mill gate. Like, that's like in actual war, that doesn't actually happen, so it would keep going. It wouldn't just stop there. There's many options that they could do. It's just dependent on how easy it is for them to do it, and how much money does it cost. That's the 2 things we have to add in. I don't think those things will ever happen, but like deathmatch queue, easy things like that, free for all BGQ, small things, I think, are the best way that we can get anything done personally. And then maybe if they want to, do more things, if they're actually seeing some revenue increase. I don't see how Battlegrounds queue is going to increase any revenue, but I think if they added a new map or a new area to do some type of PvP, I think it would be a lot better.
Yeah. Well, Captain and I were talking about this earlier, and I'm just a dumb PvPer, but I've spent more than $1,000 in this game, probably over $2,000. They could look it up. This is a real thing. Buying crown, or Like I have all the costumes in the game, so I can make all these characters. I've spent money in the game too. And so I kind of feel at times like a second class citizen, when we have to go without gap closers working or take flight working or things like that. It's very frustrating. And then it's even more frustrating when your complaints, somebody says, stop whining, you dumb PvPer. And it's like, I'm just trying to voice like, do you guys not realize that this isn't normal? This isn't working. We just want it to work. I don't know what else to do. Maybe I should go to the forums and get deleted there. So it's frustrating, the whole situation. So
Because like we were talking about before when we started the podcast, is how much better the game worked back in the day. Like,
oh yeah,
people don't realize, like, maybe I don't think you were around. You started in 2019, you said, right?
Yep.
He listens to me cry about it all the time.
Yeah. So people who played this game since launch know what this game used to be. Now, when you were level 10, that's a little bit different story. But when Imperial City first came out, there was no other better game out there, like hands down. Like there really isn't now. There's no good MMO that has combat like PvP and a PvE mix. But when this game launched on console, 3 months went by. Then we got Imperial City. It wasn't like, it felt like we had a consistent updates for PvP. And then I guess it went by like a year and a half. We got Battlegrounds then, and that's when the Warden class first came out. And that really wasn't that long. I mean, a year and a half, that's really not, a long time in a video game like an MMO. And then no other PvP content other than like a hammer, added a few outposts and flags in Imperial City. I remember back in the day when Fingrush was complaining about there was nothing to do in Imperial City after a while. Like maybe it was different on PC, but whenever they took away the auto revive in like that zone that you're in, so if you died in arena, you could res in arena without having any flags. Right. And there was no cooldown on that. Now, people have different opinions on this. This was the best thing that happened to PvP. Like when they had it before, you would have people literally sitting up there shooting people all day long. You could go into Imperial City and get PvP action. Yeah. And in Citadel, it was more Zergy, but down there you would see healers spamming rapid regen constantly, and they would get AP that way. Yeah. And then you would see people jump down. There was the EP and the DC, I think, spawns. And people would just fight there all day long. There was not a moment in time. You could be in there 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and still fighting people. Yeah. And then after that, you'd go to the right in Arena District in the middle, and you would have people dueling there until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And this was every single day for a good solid 5, 6, 7 months. This was the best PvP this game has ever seen. And then after they brought in Tamriel, whenever they brought in the dueling, this is when the game started to die, pretty much. At that moment, whenever they took out Imperial City, this is when IC died, and it slowly but surely fell out of its grace. But also, back in the day in IC, you could go down into the sewers. This is when they had hatters, they had different types of campaigns. And I would go in there, and there would be a zerg of people waiting for me every single day, wanting to fight me. Like me and my friends, Tyler, a bunch of OG people that don't play the game anymore, but we would go down there, and there would be I'm not even joking, there was a zerg of probably 30 yellows. We would go down to the Yellow District sewers in Arboretum District. Go down there, and also in Temple District. They would be sitting there waiting for us on the Temple District flag, like the ladder. They would wait for us there. And every single day, we would go there and fight them. It was the most amazing thing. That's what people don't really realize, how great this game used to be. Yeah. And how much fun it was.
Yeah. And we're talking from a place of passion, right? Like we really loved that PvP experience. The game is capable of doing it. We just need repairs, or we need fixes, right? If you can fix it or get it back to at least that state, people will come back, and make it functional. Couple things. That scenario where people are jumping down in IC, I've heard people complain about that, and it boggles my mind. We'll be in a district, and it's just a steady flow of people that you've either killed or new people coming down and jumping into the fight, right? And it's like this kung fu movie where it's you versus the 100, ninja or kung fu guys, but they're all taking their turn to jump down and come into it. And so it's just a long, continuous fight. And maybe it's you and your small man group, but it's about the fight, right? And you should kind of view yourself as like, we're the 300 Spartan, and they're going to crash against our shields, and we're going to fight them back until they decide not to jump down anymore. And that was fun for me, but other people complain about it. Why should we even kill them? They're just going to respawn and come down again. So
yeah, the main thing though with that is in the arena district, you could go back to the wood area. Some people may not know this or not, but there's like a wooded area in the back of EP spawn where you can funnel people in. If they chase you in there, they're gonna get hit with AoEs, and you can't get hit from the outside. So it's a perfect 1vx spot. And I don't know how many 1vx's I've got. They're probably over 150. I'm not even joking. Like, I've gotten some recently in this patch, but I've gotten them throughout the years. And this place never failed. It is the best spot to fight in Arena District. If you're outnumbered, people can't snipe you from the inside. They have to come on the inside. And if they're being, thirsty zerglings, then they're going to die in there. It's just a fact of reality. But back to your, I remember a point that you made earlier. It was, what was it? I can't, I hate when I do that. I forgot.
I know that it never bothered me though that they kept jumping down. Now you want to keep jumping down, jump right into the blender, my guy. That's what we're here for. We're here for the fight. So
yeah, I got it now. So you remember whenever they brought in, like in the Mid-Year Mayhem events, when they bring in the more, I guess, servers or campaigns, whatever you call those. Yeah. I think what happens is that they add more server load and space to PvP is what makes those events viable. I think that's what they do. I really believe that. Because they want the PvE people to feel like they're, PvPing, and they want to enjoy it, right? Because that's their whole event. It's for the PvE people, not for the PvP. So we're there constantly, regardless of if there's a Mid-Year Mayhem event or not. But for them, they're there because they want to get the double AP, get assault and support, leveled up, and then get out and get their vigor, and then they leave. So I think that's what they do personally to make it at least bearable for them to do PvP.
100%. And we notice it on the PvE or on the PvP side, right? Because we spend all of our hours there. That's what we do. That's why we play the game. And we're like, man, I just wish I could use abilities. My gap closer isn't working, or whatever it is, or take flight doesn't work. So change up my game plan, but we notice that stuff. Here's a thought for you too. I don't know if you've heard this before. I did a video on it a long time ago, probably 10 months ago. We brought it up to Is There No One Else? And I think he liked the idea. But if you want to make Imperial City not so dead, if you want to make it relevant, shouldn't it probably be a little bit like this? Like when you're in Cyrodiil and you capture the inner keeps and you're winning an AP, that's not actually capturing the throne. You've just captured.
It's not. Yeah.
You've just captured the surrounding areas and won the right to fight in the city for the throne. Now you have to fight your way to the throne and capture the throne. Shouldn't the districts be included in the fight for emperor? Like, why is it I just capture the surrounding areas and I'm the emperor? Shouldn't I have to actually go into Imperial City and capture the city, fight all the way to the throne and take the throne? And
I think that's a great idea, just on its face.
Yeah. Now, how do we make it work, right? We have to get Sawman on that Apes Strong together, right? So,
well, I think if they made it to where, I actually don't think that they should have to take the inner keeps in Cyrodiil, because that's really irrelevant. Like, they're not even connected to Imperial City in the first place. I think there should be more cohesion with Imperial City and Cyrodiil to make them work together rather than separate. Because like they're a whole different entity. Like Cyrodiil doesn't affect Imperial City, and Cyrodiil doesn't affect, or I guess Imperial City doesn't affect Cyrodiil. So I think there should be some more gray area between them. That sure you could still queue up and go to Imperial City, but it would at least have some type of conflict there, where you could actually get some type of action, whether that's what if you're emperor on the outside and you take all the inner keeps, for example, and then you go into the imperial city to take, emperor, I guess, right? What if you got 2 times AP rewards for being the emperor there, and your alliance got 2 times, or not AP, Telvar. You got 2 times Telvar stones for being in there. They actually bring in an incentive to go there when you're the emperor, and what that's going to do is going to cause that alliance to go in there if they want to get a little bit of gold or whatever, and then the the red or the blue could go in there and steal their Telvar and actually get PvP. It's more of like a, I guess when I imagine Imperial City, it's kind of like the Division a little bit in a way, how it's set up and kind of its play style. It's very similar to that, and I just wish it would be a little bit more populated than it is. But there's so many ideas that we can come into. They probably won't do it though. It's just wishful thinking, I guess.
They need to, I think, to save that product. They've put a considerable amount of money into Imperial City for it just to waste away, right? So make those changes that need to happen. And think about the level of coordination it would take too. The Emperor goes to Imperial City to sack the city, take the throne. Meanwhile, the Outer Keeps in Cyrodiil, do you have a squad out there that's maintaining those? Because there's going to be a delay from capturing the Inner Keeps to fighting your way, capturing each one of the districts and taking the throne or whatever. Like there's going to be a delay in that window. And I think that would spice up PvP as a whole, and it would bring life to Imperial City and make it relevant. I love Imperial Cities. Is there no one else? That's his preferred PvP place, mostly because it's for the most part lag free. So I don't know.
I think a possibly a good idea to make them at least have some type of impact on each other is, I don't know if you guys seen the trailers from 6 years ago, but is when I was going to do my message to Zenimax, I had that in the background, and there's literally AD, EP, and DC working together to fight the Daedra in Imperial City.
Yeah.
What happened with that? That is not a thing. That's one aspect, but you also see the Imperial City, like there's no water around it, right? So you can actually see they're sieging it. Literally, they have the Zerg there, obviously, and they're sieging the walls down. Why is that not a thing? Like, why do we have to travel into Imperial City? Why can't we have it to where we take the Inner Keeps, and then somebody starts sieging the walls of Imperial City, like actually pulling up catapults and shooting down the walls? Why is that not a thing? Like it would be like a reward to go there. Yeah,
we can blow up the way gates or whatever. Why can't we? Right. So
there's just so many things that they could do, and I just don't think they ever will, because it's not worth it to them, I don't think.
Yeah. Hey, even if we have to use the little mini ballistas to do it, we'll do it.
I would have siege in my inventory if that was the case. I'd never carry siege ever. So
yeah. Well, I don't know. Just my thought. If you think historically, like real wars and stuff like that, the primary goal is to sack the city. If you sack the city, the war is over, right? And they have it set up to where it's like take the outer keep or inner keeps and the war is over. It should actually be you sack Imperial City, and the only way you get to that point where you can sack Imperial City is you have the inner keeps in Cyrodiil. Now let's close in on the city. We've got them surrounded. Let's close in and take the city. But I don't know, just my thoughts on it. I wish they would make that happen. You'll have to keep us posted on what ends up coming out of that post.
Yeah, I'm going to do the apes are strung together. That's the only last resort we have.
Yeah. I mean, you get a lot of traction. You could probably reach out to Deltia on this too and get Deltia's help as far as just doing a poll, and then take his results, your results, and just kind of look at it. But can everyone agree for the time being? Let's try and get one thing pushed through, and that's battleground queue added back to BG, or deathmatch queue added back to the BGs. And if we can accomplish that, what else can we accomplish? So
I think the main thing about this whole situation, it is not that we don't want lag fixed. It's actually the quite opposite. They just can't seem to fix lag in the first place, so why would we want to wait around for them to quote unquote fix lag and performance and increase that? Well, that's been going on for a year and a half now, almost 2 years, and we've just been left out to dry and nothing's happened. There's no movement forward. There's just hurry up and wait. I remember when they used to do the updates for performance and they just never, they stopped doing it, I guess like May of 2020. They didn't keep going with that. Then they just ended it. I guess, I don't know why or what was the case, but it just kind of seemed a little shady, and they just don't want to be transparent with information because they probably will never be able to fix performance. It's just going to be a fact of reality that you have people from so far away and the ping, and there's so many people in a small area in the game. Performance will never get to where we want it to be. So I've just accepted that, and I would appreciate if we could get more content at the very least.
Yeah. Icy and I were doing a episode with Sinful Duck, another content creator on YouTube, and I asked Sinful, I said, how would you feel, would you still play the game if Zoss just straight come out and said, you know what, after long hours of trying, we don't know how to fix lag. We just don't know how to fix lag. Would you quit the game if they did that, or would you actually feel a little better? Like, thank you for being honest.
I would feel better. I mean, I've already came to the conclusion that they'll never be able to fix it. So it's not going to ruin my sleep at night if they say, we tried. I would actually appreciate that more and respect them more than them just putting it under the rug, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because if they would just admit this is a very big task, the technology we have at this moment in time, and maybe provide some reasoning why this is impossible or is, for the most part, not going to fix much. I think if they did that and explained people in simple terms, like technology, all it requires is somebody to explain something in a very simple terms. Like if somebody knows what they're doing, they can explain anything in simple terms where anybody can understand it. So it wouldn't require them too much. I often, for the most part, like question their competence more than anything because it's a big task, you know. And if they can't fix it, then I would at least hope that they would admit it and work on something that they can fix is content. You know, that's the big thing that they can do.
Right. Well, that's what we were all kind of in the same boat. Like, if you can't fix it, you can't fix it. Just tell us. Like, we've grown by leaps and bounds. We've grown way more than we ever anticipated, you know, and we're holding it together with bubble gum and, you know, Velcro. So it is what it is. We're just going to try and ride it out as long as we can. So I don't know. I was always saying, stop what you're doing. Stop releasing the next new shiny thing, the next paid thing. Stop everything and fix your game. But I don't know. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. The other thing too is a perfect example is they'll make a change. I don't like how they make a change and then they counter that change with another change, or they fog up the results of that change. Like, how are you going to properly be able to gauge the change that you made when you add another change that will directly relate to that? Case in point is, let's do the no proc test. But in the same time we're implementing no procs, we're going to add cross healing back to the game. And then shortly after that, people are like, nobody's dying. You know, well, we added cross healing back to the game, and we eliminated a lot of the major free damage, you know, damage sources in the game. So, and we had, out of the no proc test, a very limited options of armor sets to use, right? And so I thought that was interesting. Why would you do both of those at the same time? Do one or the other. And then for this one, we say, you know, in one breath, they say, damage is really high this patch. So what we're going to do is we're going to lower PvP damage, right? So by what, 5%, I think, through Battle Spirit, that's where we're getting. But in that same move, we're also going to lower healing, PvP healing. And I'm like, why would you do both of those moves at the same time if you want to gauge the effectiveness of one move? You can't do those both simultaneously, you know? damage is very high. We're in a damage meta, and it especially depends on what platform you're on. I'm like you said that you're cool with running around with 5 medium or 7 medium right now, but on PC, if we run around in 5 medium, I'm actually doing it, and I have Icy and I started queuing for Battlegrounds together, which we've never really done before. And I have a designated healer with me who's a beast, and he can't save me. Like, I get blown out of my freaking socks, by the damage on PC. So 5 medium, 7 medium on PC is really hard to do. Unless you have the Call of Duty mentality. Like, just run out there and try and kill as many people as you can, get killed yourself, respawn, go do it again.
Yeah, I think it's honestly a platform difference too, because I think there's a lot more hardcore players on PC too.
Yeah.
But a few points that I got, like you're talking about how they nerf something and then they adjust something like next patch. What I notice is it seems like they release updates that are 3 months in the past. So what I mean by that is they have a forum thread or whatever for the next update, and then they nerf something that was 6 months ago that needed to be nerfed, and then they're like always working behind rather than working forward and fixing things.
Yes.
and looking forward. I think that's a big thing that they do. But also what irritates me is Pink can attest to this as well. We were looking at the forums doing the patch note review a few weeks ago, and we saw that 2H abilities weren't considered 2H abilities. Like, how is that even possible?
Right.
Or dual wield abilities weren't considered dual wield abilities. How is that possible? Like, that's like if I have a 2x4 and I put like a 2x6 in, that's not a 2x4. It's just crazy to me how something like that big could be went through the cracks about the game.
Yeah.
And then also your point with the cross healing. I remember when they brought that, like, took that out, and it was the most amazing PvP that we've had since Imperial City when I was talking about that earlier, because there was no lag in the main campaign. I don't think, what I think is what happened, at least on the console side of things, is we had to reinstall the entire update. So there was nobody really on the servers other than people that had, decently fast internet, right, to update that whole, pretty much 90 gigs back. So I think that's the biggest thing is there's like a big mega server, and I think there's somebody like a software developer or something like that was on, like, commented on my video, and it was saying that they have no vertical progression for their servers, it could be the opposite, or horizontal, I don't remember, but something like that. And he says that that's the reason why lag and PvE in trials or in PvP is so terrible, is because they have no progression on, I don't know if it's vertical or horizontal, but they have nothing that can really alleviate the issue, and it's going to get outdated in a few months. So there's never going to be an end to fixing this performance.
Yeah. Gosh, who were we with? I don't remember, but there were two main things. One of them is called regression testing, and regression testing actually refers to, let's say, their next new greatest thing that's getting ready to come out around the corner, and they implement that game, attach it to the game, they put that code in, and they test it as a standalone. And now you can go and look at the PTS. Here's one of the complaints is people will catch these things on the PTS, like, don't go live with this, there's some major bugs. Or like Dan from Unified Gaming just found that you're basically invincible with cloak, on the PTS just like 4 or 5 days ago. He's like, and then there's also abilities that are desyncing your health, and you just die. You have 100% health, and you hit cloak, and it says miss, 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 like you're not taking damage, and then the very first damage you take, dead, 100% health. It's gonna go live. Maybe not on for you guys, but on PC it's gonna go live, because it goes live next week or the week after, and then your guys.
No, it goes live in 2 days.
2 days. There you go. And it was pushed back for you guys, right? So they might have time to fix it for you guys.
I doubt they will. They will. It'll go live.
Yeah, and Icy and I were talking about this too. I was like, based on their track record, I'm not taking what they say, I'm taking what they do. And based off their track record, I don't care what they say anymore. Proof is now all in what they actually do, it'll still go live. And so the real question is if the PTS server is there for nothing more than content creators to jump on and test new gear and do free advertising and marketing for them, but anything that's found that's a serious problem, they don't have enough time to actually fix it and prevent it from going live. Should they actually make the PTS come out a little earlier so they do have time to fix these major problems? Like if they don't have enough time to fix. And I see this all the time, especially because we work with content creators all the time. They're like, dude, I jumped on the PTS and found that was a problem. I made multiple posts and there's other people saying, don't go live with this. There's this, that, or the other. Still goes live. So very frustrating. Another reason that you don't feel that your voice is heard, you know, you're just trying to prevent, because we know if it goes live, how long is it going to be live? You know, it could be 8
For
months.
months.
Yeah.
For months.
Months.
I mean, like the light attack bug. I think that thing was there for at least a month on console because, again, there's some weird issue where they can't release an update because they have to buy an update. They have to approve the patch through Sony and Microsoft. And I understand that Microsoft bought Zenimax, but they get a go ahead on their updates, like emergency patch updates. But PS5, PS4 has to wait at least 2 weeks for the approval process through Sony. So we cannot, like, that's what happened with the craft bag. Like we were literally couldn't use our craft bag effectively for a month and a week, and that was a paid resource that couldn't use.
Yeah. What did you get in return for missing out on your craft bag for that amount of time?
What do you think?
Crown? No,
No, we got nothing.
you got nothing. Okay.
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
We got a we're sorry, and that's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Here's another thing too, like just a little side note. So Nolan Kirchhoff, 1VXer, streams almost nightly. He's
Yeah,
out
he's
there.
my buddy.
Yeah, out there every day on a different class, you know, trying to 1VX. And Kirchhoff's like, man, I feel so helpless in this moment where, like, it's on you guys, PC guys, to jump on the PTS and, you know, like, we need some of these things to be fixed. We need you to jump on the PTS and actually, you know, test this stuff and make sure. So I thought that was interesting. Like, do you feel that way too? Like, God, I hope enough people are on the PTS and catching stuff before we get this next patch.
Yes, so somewhat. I here recently over the past 2 updates, I've actually gotten on the PTS. I've always had a decent PC to be able to test things and run things, but just never really wanted to even fool with the PTS because it's like I get on there and there's the new sets are cool and all, but you already know there's going to be some groundbreaking bug that I honestly don't feel like waiting like 2 or 3 days when I could be doing other things to test things out on the PTS where like it should be on them to to find these bugs, not us. Yeah. And even when we do, even like you guys are saying a few of your friends on the forum posts and stuff, even when they do announce it, they don't fix it. So what's the point of even getting on there anymore? Like to actually test things, because like I just get on there to look at the new sets and look about like what's going to be good and how it's going to work and how it's going to shift things in the game. But testing bugs and stuff, that can take hours to find a bug, and you actually happen to just fall on a bug. You don't really go looking for them because you don't know what's going to be broken and what's not going to be.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot of time invested into a company that probably won't listen to us even if we express that feedback.
Here's the thing too. Let's do some basic math. Sawman just did a video today, and he had a recording of ESO's, last live video, and they were like congratulating themselves that they have over 18 million customers. Okay. And so let's take let's just say it is 18 million and divide that by 4, because we've got PlayStation, Xbox, PCNA, and PCEU. Okay. So let's take the 18 million and divide it by 4. And we still have a huge amount of people sent out to those different ones, right? Let's do this right now here. 18 million.
2.5.
2.5 million.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So that seems low.
Oh, 4.5. 4.5. My bad.
2.5. There you go. 4.5 million people per server if it were divided evenly, which it's not. And now 1% of 4.5 million is what, 45,000?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just guessing at this point, but yeah, we'll just go with 45,000.
I'm gonna do it here real quick.
It's 45,000.
If only 1% of the total population will take PlayStation, if only 1% of your 45 or 4.5 million people that are on your PlayStation, if only 1% do PvP, that's still 45,000 people that PvP. You know, does it seem like you have 45,000 different faces PvPing? You know, or
We maybe have, I would say, from my experience, now I don't go to Greyhost that much, but it's typically a lag fest in there, like probably how it is on PC. I would assume that each bar population is probably, I would want to say 50 people, 60 people.
so
That's just my assumption. So I think we have a total of probably 200 people at max in 3-bar campaigns. That's my assumption of numbers. So 600 people if it's 3 population locked in Grey Hills, and then when there's a queue, you know, it's like a 45 queue or something like that in Grey Hills. So you have to assume that means there's probably like anywhere between, you know, like I said, 60 to 80 people a bar. So probably 200 people per alliance, I would say is max. That's just my
okay.
assumption.
So that's when your pop locked is roughly 200, you think?
I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
And so, like in the gym industry, if you were to walk into a gym that's operating at capacity, and say you walked in and you looked around and there's 50 people working out, you can't assume that that gym only has 50 total paying members, right? There's
Yeah,
way
yeah.
that aren't there at any given time, same given time. And so Cyrodiil probably functions the same way, right? In that given moment when there's 200 people on the map representing the 3 different factions and they're fighting, there's probably 10 times that aren't online right now or aren't queued or aren't whatever. And so I think that's interesting because that's a lot of people. And if they're like me or Captain Crunch that we were just talking today, I've spent $1,000, $2,000. It's not that they don't make money off PvPers. I know a guy named Papa, and every single character that Papa has leveled, not only bought the character slot, but he's also bought their mount speed, all their mount training every single time, and he's bought whatever skill line, like if it's fighter guild or vampire or werewolf, he doesn't want to have to level it, and so he just buys it. You know, who knows how much? I bet Papa's probably spent anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 in the game. PvPer hates doing PvE. You know, so that's the
I think
frustrating thing.
I think but I think that's how it works. So here's my position. Why would they want to fix PvP or do anything with PvP when people are still buying crown source stuff and still making money with doing zero effort on their end, other than adding new costumes for their art designers, adding new dungeons for their dungeon designers or whatever? Like, why would they want to fix something in PvP that's going to take a lot more resources and time away for them making crown stuff? Because you have to think like, you know, I can give you $1 and you can give me $1 and it's the same dollar, like regardless of whatever it is. So spending the time that they do on PvP is not going to be the same value of them doing crown source stuff. So they could give somebody, however much money they're paying them for the art designers, and pay them, $40-$50 an hour versus trying to pay somebody to fix PvP, which is probably going to take longer. It's going to be a lot less return. It's just from an overall business standpoint, I think that's the main reason why they're never going to really fix PvP exactly. It's just going to be the same process over and over again. It's just crown source stuff. Like, I mean, they may add a class change, okay, but PvPers are going to use that. PvPers use race changes all the time, alliance changes. That stuff's PvP oriented because nobody in PvE really wants to race change. They get their character, whether it's high elf, Khajiit for PvE, or Orc or whatever is best in slot, and they just say that race forever. The only people that race change are PvP players, and why would they want to add anything into PvP whenever they're already buying crowns for race changes? It just doesn't make any sense for them to fix anything when they're still making the same, if not more, money for adding new crown store content.
Yeah. So this is another thing in the gym industry. It's called churn or burn, and churn is the amount of customers that you lose because of bad customer service. So you have your lead generation or your funnel. How do we get new people in? And so ESO functions the same way. How do we get new people in? Well, we get a huge amount of new people every time we drop a new patch or next new thing, or we claim that we're going to make some changes that will increase the life, we're going to fix some things. And so people come back to the game, new people come into the game. And on the bottom of the bucket is water running out all the time. And that's the people that quit because of this, that, and the other. And right now, it's not a majority of PvEers that are quitting. It's PvPers that are quitting. I know 3 guilds that have 60 plus members for PvP, 3 that have all quit. Every one of them canceled their ESO plus and have quit the game already or are just waiting for New World. And they've already played New World and they don't even care that the PvP is slower, different, whatever. They just want a game that works. And so, but that churn or burn has to be hurting them. And all they need is to have a little integrity. The product that you said that you were going to provide, that image that you were talking about where all the 3 factions are fighting together against this wave of Daedra or whatever, you just need to actually provide the product that you say you can provide, or change the bar. Like we were hoping to provide that. Here's the reality of it with technology or software, in today's day and age, or the volume of customers that we have, and just be honest. And so that's been my biggest thing. Some people will probably listen to this and say, man, you're being so negative or whatever. Not being negative. I'm very passionate about this game. I want to see it succeed, and not being heard and being treated as a second-class citizen and being canceled makes me mad. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think a few notes for that is like when PvPers leave, those are already in-game players. They've already milked the cow dry, so to speak. That's my 2 cents on PvPers leaving. PvE gets more money because PvP is an in-game activity. Whether people say you can start PvP at level 10, no, you don't. Like maybe back in the day, but not anymore. If you're not at least 500-600 CP in PvP with decent gear, whether that's gold weapons for the most part, or even purple weapons and purple body and jewelry, like you're not going to be successful in PvP. And that's like there's a higher standard and bar for PvP where if you're not at this certain level, you're just not going to have fun and enjoy it. And people that do PvE necessarily don't have the core fundamentals that a PvP player knows, and they say it's cheating or this and that about knowing different types of animation skills or bar swap canceling, just basic things that they just don't know because they've never had to utilize it before, and they're used to killing wolves in Stormhaven, and that's all they're used to. They're not, I guess, making themselves better in the sense of PvE, as PvP is just a whole different animal, and you have to adapt and you have to learn. I mean, it's a different breed of people, like I was talking about earlier, and we have the Zergers and we have the small scalers. There's even bigger different breeds of people in PvP and PvE. They just want different things. They have different ideologies and all this stuff. And I think since PvP is endgame, where you can't just be level 10 and go PvP and have fun, it makes it to where, that's the top of the bucket. And you have new players coming in to do PvE. They buy crowns. They don't have to have in-game gear. They can go quest on the weekends with their family or with their friends, and they can have a blast. And they can buy, a new mount that looks cool. They can buy a new costume, and they play, maybe 5-6 times a month, and they actually make more money from them than they would a PvP player, than a hardcore PvP player. Because most of the time, once you found a build that you like, you don't really race change much anymore. I mean, obviously, if you're trying to change specs, but they get a lot more newer people, and then they can buy new stuff, mounts, mount speed, the new DLC, and I think that's where it just takes less effort for them to do PvE stuff than it does for them to do anything with PvP. I think that's the biggest takeaways from my opinion, though. That's what I think.
I was just thinking how I guess like earlier when we were saying, oh, maybe collab with Deltia to see if we can get a push and see if we can get a change, right, to get that deathmatch queue going. What if we kind of just do the opposite and we just kind of form some sort of online coalition and we just kind of boycott? Why don't we get everybody, all the content creators to push to boycott ESO on a specific day or like a weekend, right? Like, hey, we're not going to log in, we're not going to do this, and because we want to, send a message or something like that. I feel like Sawman could, I could see him like leading the helm with the torch, kind of like in Beauty and the Beast. He could be the Gaston, right? Like kill the beast, kill Sauce or something like that. I feel like he could really run with it, but I feel like that would be a powerful message in a way, right? We get all the content creators like, hey, we're gonna boycott on September 1st, whatever, because we're sick and tired of this game sucks. Yep. Same time tomorrow. Yep. All right, and then that's kind of it. What do you guys think about that?
I think that they've already got Ghost and guys like that, right? They've got I don't even know who else, their stream team, right? That would be an ideal situation because the competition leaves. Real Godzilla's content is way more informative, way more educational, way more entertaining than half those people, all those people that are on their stream team. And it would only be helping their effort because we can control these people. That's what they would say, right? They're on our stream team. We can kind of control their message and control we know that they're not going to step out of line, and call it like it is, so it would only help their cause, I think, if we did that. Sorry.
Easiest way to really see if this will be effective is look at, for me as an example, I've been mainly producing PvP content for going on 9-10 months. And Lucky Ghost, I don't know how long he's been doing PvE stuff, but just look at the discrepancy of overall subscribers. That's the easiest way to recognize how many more PvE people there are than PvP. Now, I do this as a side thing. He probably does this as his main job. And, I don't exactly look at his content extensively, but, if I'm looking for a PvE build real quick, I'll go to Deltia, I'll cast, just random things giving me ideas. So I don't have to go, farm things forever. Because I already know how to make a build. I just need to know the kind of the ground level basics to make a PvE thing. Because that's just not my thing. So I think that's the biggest thing is they don't need us. At the end of the day, there's still going to be people that PvP. The PvEers are going to come out. If there's no more hardcore PvP players like me, like you guys, like anybody on PS4, the content creators like King of Games, Nice, Kirkhoff, all those guys. I only really know those guys because obviously they're on PS4. I'm sure you guys have friends too, but that do content. But I think that's the main thing is PvP is not as big as PvE, and that's their main moneymaker. And like you said with the stream team, that's their puppet, so to speak. So I was considering on joining the stream team, but I didn't want to have anybody muzzle me about what I can and can't say about the game.
Right.
Like I was watching Nernstorm for a minute on his thing, and he was complaining about QuakeCon and all of their streaming stuff. It has nothing to do with PvP. This is what Sawman was saying as well. I think he was messaging me in DMs or something like that. But PvP is just irrelevant to them. There's one or two streamers maybe that does PvP on their whole entire world play ESO, and it's like Fingrush, and he's been complaining about PvP since I even played this game. So I don't know. I don't see it ever being fixed, honestly, or any adjustments.
Here's what I look at too. I know we're getting a little long on this, and we can start wrapping things up, but PvPers don't ask for much. We ask that you provide the product that you promised to begin with, like the reason we purchased the game or the product we're paying for, right? We just want abilities to work and there not to be lag so we can actually perform. We can actually be competitive, right? For the most part, that's all we need. So our average lifetime value of us, like if you were to compare us to a PvEer and both of us were paying for our ESO Plus, they might get more out of us with lesser effort. They don't need to update the Crown Store with us. They don't need to add the next new big patch or the next new armor sets or the next new whatever, because most of the time they're broken and they make us mad anyways. Like, why are you adding this to the game? They just need the game to work. We just need the game to actually function. And so we're here for the fight. And so if the game actually worked properly, because as long as there's a fight there, we keep coming back. We stay here, we create our own content, you know, and that's the way I view it. Just make the game actually work and do the thing you want, and we'll occupy ourselves. Obviously, Battlegrounds, great addition to PvP, will keep us entertained. But our outcry right now isn't, you know, well, outside of your message, because your message is, look, if you can't fix a game, where's new content? But our outcry is not where's new content. Our outcry, first and foremost, is fix the game, you know? And if they were just to do that, have integrity, give us the product that they offered, we would stay, because we love the combat in this game. So we're a pretty easy customer to deal with. And then you look, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Graham. I'll let you finish.
You look at the PvE side of it. Once you start working through that content, PvEers are maybe achievement based, or they're very goal centric, right? They need the new content to continue to feed them. They're a lot more needy of a, I know it sounds bad to say needy of a customer, but they need the new content to continue to keep them going. Whereas we're out there every day creating different, like, we're there for the fight. And so that's kind of how I view it, is that's a major miss by them. The PvP side of it has huge holes in the bottom of the bucket because they won't do core. Their PR is bad. Their customer service or customer relations is bad. And they're not speaking to us clearly on what's going on. And they just don't have a product that functions properly for PvP. And so then it comes to your video. If you can't provide us with the product that's going to work properly, then can we get some new content or something? Because all my friends are leaving. Everybody's quitting the game because they're so mad. Like, can you throw us a bone? That's kind of my thing on it. It's not that you're wrong. It's I'm not countering what you said earlier. But the way I view it is, they could get way more of an average lifetime value out of a PvPer, because we're here for the fight. You just need the game to work. So,
Yeah, I was
I
just
think
gonna.
that,
Oh,
go ahead.
I was just gonna add that, you know, when I started in September 2019, you know, then I met Grim in, you know, 3 months later in December. You know, at that point, I stopped PvEing and I was PvPing for like a solid 14 months after that. And during that time, I didn't touch a single quest. I didn't really do any PvE content at all, because I was so enamored with PvP. So, you know, every DLC that, you know, dropped, you know, between that time range, I could care less. I was PvPing every day. I had zero like need for any of the new content they were dropping, just because I was having so much fun PvPing. And, you know, to your point, Grim, yeah, if they just, you know, improve the game, then I'd be fine. You know, I don't even need any of the new content. So if they took some time to, you know, not release content, just focus on fixing some things, yeah, I would be totally fine. You know, it wouldn't. I'd still keep my ESO plus going. I would, you know, continue to play the game every day. You know, it's you know, PvP is, it's certainly its own thing, and, you know, in my opinion, I think it's like self-sustaining. You know, as long as everything's working, you know, fine, then we shouldn't have a problem.
sorry.
I think it's one last point that I have on this, and then we can, you know, start to wrap it up like you were saying. But I think the main thing is like PvP. It's already in the game. It's like whenever you're, you know, working, people who do construction that would understand this. Like, it's much easier to fix, like, to put something new on than it is to fix something that's old. Like, if you're taking out, you know, 2x4s that are rotten, you know, why would you want to use the same 2x4 and just put a new one in? So, like, content-wise, PvP, it's already been in the game. It's too hard to fix, too much manpower, and I don't think they'll ever fix it. But PvE, put in a new costume, 2 new dungeons, a trial, you'll sell a lot more copies or chapters, updates, whatever, that way than I think you would fixing something that's so groundbreaking. Like they would probably have to up in the entire code of the game, and it's just too big of a beast for them to fix. And it's like whenever you buy a house that's got foundation issues, you don't want to buy that house because it's got too much things wrong with it. I think that's the biggest takeaway that I could say about them, and what I think that they're going to do personally.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I mean, that's going to be what drives them there. And if we're only the 1 percentile that like the PvP, then the 99 percentile are buying Crown and buying their next new shiny thing. So it makes sense from a sustainable business model standpoint. So,
I was just doing some math, Grim. So 18 million registered ESO users, right?
mhm,
So, we'll just say we'll take a quarter of that, right? So 4.5 million.
mhm.
And we'll just say at least that much has ESO Plus going. Dude, 4.5 million, right? Times $15. That's $67 million per month in
Yeah.
terms of ESO subscription money. You're telling me you can't do anything with that much money coming in per month?
Yeah, we don't know what their overhead is, or what their expenses are, I should say. So there's a lot of unknown factors, and also another thing: does that money go to them, or does that money go to Microsoft at this point? With the purchase. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of really
What
unknown things, or
what I
investors.
what I wish would have happened when Microsoft took over was have let this year play out or whatever. Or when did they obtain Zenimax? Do you guys know like how many months ago was it?
Uh,
Well, I think they were like talking about the deal, but I think maybe just within the last couple of months, like it officially
yeah,
happened, I guess, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're
So it like
money.
4 or 5 months ago, you guys would assume.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what I think, what I wish would have happened is me and Pink were talking about this. Whenever Microsoft first bought Zenimax, is let the updates play out like this update and the next update, like or I guess would be a good time, better than any, but like they would start firing some of the people that were there that couldn't do their job because Microsoft wants to get a return on their investment. So something's not working right, and there's a the short end of the stick or whatever the expression is you want to say. If they're the weakest link in the chain, then just get rid of them. I mean, it's sad to say, but if they can't do their job and they were hired to do that job and they can't do it and they're, making the company not do too good or whatever it is,
Mhm.
then, you would assume that Microsoft would step in and be like, hey, either get your job, get going, or you can get out. That's just what I would have assumed that Microsoft would do. Haven't heard anything like that. I saw they were hiring people a few months back, and I don't know if they hired any of those people or not. But
I'm
also with the
in the air right now. Yes.
Wait, say,
Mac,
oh, so what'd you say, Graham? You kind of got cut off.
I'm high-fiving him in the air right now because that's yeah, if you can't do your job, then get out because, there's paying customers. So,
yeah, and also with the player base, how many people did you assume that had ESO Plus?
I
I
just
see.
figured 18 million, take 25% of that, 18 registered users and then just 25% of that. So, I mean, we could even take less if you want, but that was 4.5
Well,
million.
yeah, I don't exactly. That's their all-time numbers.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's their all-time numbers. I think they added like 2 million people from last year to this year. And you guys would have assumed that during COVID and stuff, it hit up in March on Steam, especially. There's no actual real data that we can look at that's going to be reliable. Is the biggest issue. They don't have 18 million players. They probably have a million, if that, on all platforms.
Oh,
which
geez.
And
explains why we see the
that
same people in battlegrounds all the time and stuff like that, right?
yeah, exactly. And now they could be doing Quest in Cold Harbor, or they could be doing whatever in Riften. But I think at any one given point in time, I think on console it has probably less than 30,000 people. PC probably has double that overall on PC, on EU and NA. On both, they probably have about 60,000, I would say, if that. I think actively players they probably have close to a million on all platforms, and that's it. I don't think they have more than that.
You know what? Thinking back to that video too, is 18 million what they're claiming that they have is like active accounts currently, or is 18 million what they're saying that they have in paid ESO plus subscribers? So that's a big difference, I guess, too. But
Also on that point though, like 18 million people, does this include the people who got the game for free during some of these events? Probably it does. That's people who have an account on the game that got it for free, that they run every few months. They, release the game for free. If this game was that popular, they wouldn't be giving it away for free. I mean, if
Right.
we're being honest, I remember back in For Honor, whenever they would be giving it away for free, just download it, get a Steam invite. If the game was doing that great, they wouldn't be giving the game away for free. That's just the reality of it. If you wouldn't be giving away your gym membership for free if you had a lot of people in your membership.
it's a
You know.
it's a marketing strategy. So you do like
Yeah,
I
for
Love
sure.
Boxing or Orange Theory. That train here for a week for free, and in that moment, it gives you a week to win that know, like, love, and trust factor with them, right? And then they decide that they want to become a paid member. So in that free week that they get, or that free whatever they get, they realize, dang, I'm having inventory problems. I should probably get ESO plus so I have the crafting bag, right?
Yeah.
So that's how they transition them to a paid customer, and it's also has to do with like pricing or price anchoring is a thing. But if your barrier of entry is super low, but you know that you have a really good product, and then you do have things that are behind a paywall, once they're in, all you need to do is get them in the door for free, and sure as can be, they'll rotate into paying customers. So I see what they're doing there. It's, sneaky. So,
Yeah, for sure. But it also inflates their numbers a lot too. That's what I
oh
was
yeah,
kind of getting at.
oh yeah,
Because if you have just some person that's random and just got the game for free, and that's just gonna get one more tick mark on their overall player base.
yeah. And then they just went back to WoW. They wanted to check it out. Now they're back at WoW now. So,
Hey, but hey, that you gave them the number that we can now use to, you know, miss. I don't want to say miscommunicate, but
Misrepresent.
yeah,
yeah,
misrepresent, the game and be like, oh wow, there's so many people playing this game. Let me join and see what this is all about.
yeah. Hey, one last thing before we wrap this up. Would you ever consider taking your video and actually sending it directly to Microsoft as opposed to going through Zenimax and using their community forums?
I mean, yeah, but I just don't know who to send it to. That's also a big problem is we don't know who to talk to. All we have is Zenimax, and that's really it. I mean, I could just send it to him for sure, but I just don't know who or what to send it to. That's the
Maybe
biggest issue.
actual, you got to go up in the food chain. If you're getting canceled lower in the food chain, there's no guarantee that people higher in the food chain know that this is going on. They're just assuming that it's being handled. Well, yeah, it's being handled. It's being shoved under the carpet. So let's send it up the food chain and see what happens. I don't know if you're interested in that. I could help you do that.
Yeah, it's worth a shot for sure.
Maybe just DM Bill Gates on Twitter and see what he says.
Yep. Yep. We'll go meet him at the golf course and pull out
For
our
sure.
check this out. Yeah. Okay. So where can people find you at? Obviously YouTube, but what's all the places people can find you?
I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/The Real Godzilla YT at the end because The Real Godzilla was taken. But that's really my only social medias is YouTube and Twitch. I stream there typically Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday is my main times. I'm also going to be streaming. Well, this will be released tomorrow, but I'm going to be streaming here in like 45 minutes or an hour or so, doing some PvP.
Heck yeah, I gotta check that out. I've PvP'd once. It's fun. So in the descriptions we'll have links to all of those so anybody listening can track you down. And then how can people best help you out? Like what could they do to
Obviously just subscribing is the easiest, easiest way, on YouTube. But monetarily, I have Patreon, and obviously if you guys want to support me on Twitch with subs, that's always appreciated. I have some good things on Patreon, especially for the top members. I help them with the build, whatever they want, any type of thing that they want, I can help them make and adjust it to their liking and playstyle. That's my two best places. Patreon's by far the best because obviously they don't skim as much as Twitch does or YouTube does.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Do you have anything for us? Any questions for us?
No, this was really fun, and I really appreciate you guys for having me on here.
Yeah, thank you for taking time to come on. Hopefully I don't get you in trouble with all my whining and crying about ESO. So what do you got, Icy?
Actually, I do kind of have maybe one or maybe two more questions, but why or how did you come up with the Real Godzilla as your online personality?
I think it was. I don't even remember. I think it was whenever the PS4 first came out. I've actually, a funny joke, I've never actually watched Godzilla before other than the newest one, to be honest. So it's actually really funny that people always ask me, like, where'd you get your name from? I just thought it sounded cool. The real part was added back, I guess in 2017, whenever you could name change, or 2018, whenever you could name change. My friend, his name was the Real Valko, and we all got like a group of people, obviously PinkStarr, and we had, my friend Exodium, we had my friend Terrence. We had a bunch of people that were running in a small group. Whenever I used to go run for Emperor and stuff like that, my warden, but we all had the name, the Real. It was just our little fun thing that we had. But that's where the Real came from, and Godzilla was from back whenever I first made my account.
Nice.
Oh,
And
you're Argonian?
No, I'm not Argonian. I hate Argonian, actually. For the most part, I like it
In the
for
audience,
a few classes, but not for all. It would make sense though if I was an Argonian, but I'm not. My favorite races are like Orc. I'm not too much into I guess style. Like Pink always roasts me for my style in the game, and I just do it to annoy her sometimes, to be honest. But I just play it for the best in slot, to be honest. That's just me.
Okay. Yeah, you got to make an Argonian necromancer so you can be the big hulking raging clown.
Yeah, that would be funny. I probably should. He's a high elf right now, so I may end up swapping.
Yep, got to do it.
and I think put the Zahn's helmet too, so you can get that laser, the atomic breath from.
Dude,
Godzilla.
that's actually a good video idea. I'm not gonna lie. I've never even thought of that before. You guys just gave me a good video idea, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, me and Grim came up with it like a year ago, and I was gonna put it together as like a tank support type thing, but I was just like, it would be funny to put the sound effect in whenever the Zahn procs of like the atomic breath heating up, and then just going off would be pretty cool.
I'd have to send the clips to Sawman because he does those meme stuff like that. So I'd have to give him throw him a few bones, and he could probably edit me a video.
Yeah, a couple of dog biscuits, right?
Yep, for dog.
Yeah. Dogecoins, he'll probably eat those.
So, and okay, last question. If hypothetical, right, theoretical, whatever,
Uh-oh.
if the server migrations happen, right, we'll say they happen in like, October 1st, right, they announce it, hey, we're moving everything over to Microsoft servers and whatever, and something horrible happens and all of our accounts, everything is like wiped and gone. So we're all basically starting fresh, brand new on these new Microsoft servers. What do you do? Do you keep playing, or do you just do you start again, brand new, or do you just move on and consider it like I'm free?
That's a good question. So a lot of my friends on console are swapping to PC. I'm personally not going to. I have so much grinded on console. Now, if it was all wiped away and everybody was on a clean slate, then obviously I would give it a go again, to be honest. But I don't know. It's hard to say. The hypotheticals are always hard to answer. But I enjoy this game a lot, and I wish it would be what it was at one point in time back in 2017. It's a lot of nostalgia. Like I look at my old videos, and man, like you can't compare this PvP to that PvP. It's just impossible. How much fun it was. Like I remember when Magic DK could actually use Igneous Shield. Like it was actually viable. And now it's, you put on Data's Trickery and you can completely negate having to use Igneous. Or you could use a shield and heavy armor. People don't remember that either. You could use Harness Magic and heavy. You could use Shuffle on a Magic DK. It was just, and even Shuffle back in the day, whenever you could dodge attacks that came at you without even having to dodge itself. Like it was an active dodge. There's just a lot of things that people don't remember, and even things that I forget. Like Kuriyuki did a community post a few days ago asking if people remembered the damage buff in Battlegrounds. I was like, what is that? Then I got to remember it was the major berserk buff that used to pop out in the middle of the map, where you could grab like the relics, like in domination. Man, there's just so many things that people they don't know, and if they did, they would be really upset. That's why I think our complaints are falling on deaf ears, because Zenimax knows and we know, but nobody else does, and we're the only people that can really voice it. And there's just so many things that we've forgotten over time that, if we were reminded of it, we'd be like, hey, that was an awesome feature, and just can't believe they removed it.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so just a couple quick announcements, or I think just two. As always, we do have the audio version of the podcast that you can find at our Anchor webpage. We always put a link in the description, so you can head on over there if you want the audio version of this episode and all the other episodes. And of course, since we reorganized our Discord a month ago or so, we do have this staging area. So if you do want to listen to the podcast live, you can just catch us typically around 4 p.m. Eastern. On Saturdays is when we like to record. Sometimes it'll just be a random day throughout the week, just to coordinate with the guests that we might have. And even right now we had 3-4 people, or even I think I'm capped out at like 5 today. People just popping in. So I think with that said, we'll catch you guys next week on the next one. See ya.
Bye.
Apes together strong.
You're going to say, bye-bye, Argonians.
Bye bye, Rogonian.